There's a strange peace that comes when we finally stop trying to control everything. It doesn't happen all at once. It begins with exhaustion, the quiet kind that settles in the bones after nights spent turning over the same problem again and again, searching for answers that refuse to appear. We live in a world that worships worry. We believe that if we think hard enough, plan long enough, care deeply enough, we can bend life into the shape we want. But some things will never bend. Some things are meant to stay wild, uncertain, untamed by our will. Imagine standing before a storm. You can fight the wind, or you can breathe and let it pass through you. The difference isn't surrender. It's wisdom. The Dalai Lama once said, "If a problem can be solved, there is no need to worry. If it cannot be solved, worrying will do no good." It sounds simple, but in a world that confuses worry with responsibility, how do we learn to trust what we cannot fix? And maybe the deeper question is this: if peace isn't found in control, where then do we find it? Look around any modern city and you'll see it. The quiet epidemic of worry disguised as productivity. People rushing through glass buildings, eyes locked on screens, hearts locked on futures that haven't arrived. The hum of engines, the glow of notifications, the endless need to stay ahead. We call it ambition. But beneath it, there's something else. A silent trembling. A fear that if we stop for even a moment, everything will fall apart. That if we don't worry, we don't care. Our ancestors feared storms, hunger, predators. We fear uncertainty, the invisible storm of what might happen next. We pace our kitchens at midnight, replaying words we said wrong. We check our messages 5 times before bed, chasing a sense of control that slips through our fingers like smoke. The modern world tells us, be prepared, stay alert, fix what's broken. But how do you fix the infinite? How do you repair what hasn't even gone wrong yet? Worry gives us the illusion of participation. It feels like doing something, thinking hard, caring deeply, imagining every possible outcome. But worry is motion without movement, effort without direction. It drains, it tightens, it blinds. Ironically, the more we try to solve life, the more life becomes a problem. We schedule peace between deadlines. We meditate like it's another task to complete. Even rest becomes performance, a race to relax better. And yet, despite all our striving, anxiety grows. The heart doesn't care how many books we read about mindfulness. It only wants one thing: stillness. Not the stillness of apathy, but the stillness that comes when we finally accept that not everything is ours to fix. The paradox of our age is that the more control we seek, the less peace we find. We build systems to predict the future, but lose touch with the present. We protect ourselves from uncertainty, but also from wonder. We chase solutions, but forget how to simply be. Maybe the real wisdom isn't about making life easier. Maybe it's about learning to stop fighting what is. Because every time we surrender the need to know, a small doorway opens. A doorway into something softer, quieter, freer. And in that space, we begin to see what worry has always hidden from us: the calm beneath the chaos, the silence beneath the storm. But what if this stillness we resist, this act of doing nothing, is not a weakness, but a form of courage, a rebellion against the noise of the world? Worry is a strange kind of faith. It's belief in our own helplessness, a trust that things will go wrong unless we hold them together. It disguises itself as care, as diligence, as love. But at its root, worry is fear wearing a responsible face. The Dalai Lama's insight cuts through this illusion like morning light through fog. If a problem can be solved, there is no need to worry. If it cannot be solved, worrying will do no good. At first, this feels too simple for a complex world. But simplicity is often mistaken for naivety. The truth is radical. It asks us to abandon the one habit our minds are addicted to: control. To understand this fully, we must see how the mind works. The mind loves certainty. It wants guarantees. It clings to the idea that if it can predict every outcome, it can avoid pain. So it spins, imagining, replaying, analyzing, like a machine that never powers down. But life isn't a problem to be solved. It's a mystery to be experienced. When we treat it like an equation, we lose its poetry. When we insist on answers, we silence the silence that could have spoken. Think about a river. When it meets a rock, it doesn't panic. It flows around it. It doesn't demand that the rock move. It simply finds a way through. The river doesn't waste time worrying. It keeps moving, not because it knows the outcome, but because flowing is its nature. We too are meant to flow. But worry freezes us. It's a dam built by the mind, a wall that traps energy meant to move freely through life. And every what if we repeat adds another brick to that wall. Ironically, we think worry protects us from pain, but it only prolongs it. It's the mental rehearsal of suffering that hasn't even happened. We suffer twice, once in imagination, once in reality. There's a quiet wisdom in realizing that peace isn't the absence of problems, it's the absence of resistance. Worry is resistance. It's saying, I refuse to trust the unfolding. But peace is surrender. It's whispering, let it unfold anyway. This doesn't mean indifference. It doesn't mean we stop caring or acting. It means we stop agonizing. We still show up. We still do our best. But without the poison of attachment to how things must turn out. Buddhism calls this equanimity, a balance between caring deeply and letting go completely. It's standing in the middle of the storm without needing the sky to clear. It's the ability to move through uncertainty with grace, because you've stopped fighting what you can't control. Most people misunderstand this kind of peace. They think it's passive. But surrender is the ultimate act of strength. It's the courage to trust life itself, to let the river carry you. Not because you're weak, but because you finally realize you are the river. The mind says, if I stop worrying, things will fall apart. The soul answers, if you stop worrying, things might finally come together. Consider this. All the best moments in life, love, creativity, laughter, insight, happen when we stop trying to control them. You can't force joy. It arises naturally in presence. You can't force love. It unfolds in surrender. You can't force wisdom. It comes in silence. Worry is the noise that keeps us from hearing the music. And when that noise stops, the world becomes luminous again. Stillness doesn't mean doing nothing. It means acting from clarity, not from fear. It means asking, what can I do? And then doing it with full attention, without drowning in anxiety over what comes next. Imagine two gardeners. One spends the night pacing, worrying about the rain. The other sleeps peacefully, trusting that whatever weather comes, she'll meet it in the morning. Both care about their garden, but only one wakes up rested enough to nurture it. That's the secret. Peace doesn't make you careless. It makes you capable. Worry drains you before life even begins. Peace prepares you for whatever may come. So when the mind begins to spiral, ask yourself 2 questions. 1. Can I do something about this? 2. If not, what is this worry serving? If it can be solved, act. If it cannot, release. The act of letting go isn't escape. It's return. Return to what's real. This breath, this moment, this heartbeat. And in that return, we rediscover something our ancestors knew long before anxiety became an industry. That life takes care of itself, far better than our fear ever could. The sun rises without our permission. The body heals without our command. The heart learns to forgive in its own time. Everything moves toward balance when we stop pulling the strings. So perhaps the real practice isn't control, but trust. Not the trust that everything will go our way, but that whatever comes, we'll find our way through. As the Dalai Lama reminds us, if the problem can be solved, there is no need to worry. If it cannot, worrying will do no good. That is not just a quote. It's a doorway, out of fear and into freedom. Because when we stop feeding the fire of worry, something beautiful happens. Peace walks in, quietly. Not because life is perfect, but because we finally are. There once was a woman named May who lived in a small mountain village, surrounded by mist and the constant whisper of wind through bamboo. Her days were quiet, simple, until one season a great drought struck. The river that once sang beneath her window dried into cracked earth. The crops withered. The people began to whisper prayers to the sky, desperate for rain. May, too, prayed. Every dawn she climbed the hill behind her home and begged the heavens, "Please, give us water. Please, don't let us die." Days turned into weeks. The sun blazed relentlessly. The soil turned to dust. May's voice became hoarse, her faith fragile. Every morning she repeated the same words. Every night she wept. Until one morning, she couldn't bear it anymore. She climbed the hill again, but instead of praying, she sat in silence. For the first time, she stopped asking and simply listened. There was no thunder, no rain, only the soft hum of cicadas and the sound of her own breath. It felt pointless at first, yet, in that stillness, something inside her began to shift. She realized that all her prayers had been built on fear, not faith. She wasn't asking the sky, she was begging her worry to disappear. And so she made a quiet decision. She would still rise each morning, still climb the hill, but she would no longer beg. She would simply be there, listening. The villagers thought she'd gone mad. "You're doing nothing," they cried, but May only smiled. "Then let me do nothing with peace." Weeks passed. The drought continued, yet May's spirit softened. She began to notice things she had never seen before. The resilience of a single green leaf clinging to a dying tree. The way the wind carried dust like shimmering gold. The faint scent of earth trying to heal itself. Her silence became prayer. Her acceptance became action. She began helping others ration water, sharing her food, teaching children to plant seeds deeper in the soil so they'd survive. And somehow, though the drought raged on, the village's despair began to fade. People started to laugh again, to sing at night. to find meaning even in dryness. Then, one evening, clouds gathered on the horizon. The wind shifted, cool, electric, alive. The first drop of rain fell on May's hands as she stood on that same hill. She didn't shout, didn't dance, didn't cry. She simply opened her palms and let the rain fall through them. Because she finally understood. The rain was never hers to command. Her peace had come long before the sky answered. When the villagers celebrated, they called it a miracle. But May only whispered, "No, it's just life remembering how to breathe." Years later, people would tell the story of the woman who prayed without words, the one whose calm brought rain. But those who truly listened knew the truth. It wasn't her prayer that changed the weather. It was her surrender that changed the way she lived beneath it. The drought was a teacher. It revealed a truth most forget, that peace isn't waiting for the storm to end. It's learning to find water in the dry places, within yourself. And in that moment, May became like the river she once missed, flowing again, not because she found control, but because she found trust. The next morning the sky cleared, the mountains glistened with life, the village thrived once more. But May never stopped climbing that hill. Each dawn, she still went there, not to pray, not to plead, but to listen. For she had learned that peace is not the absence of drought, nor the promise of rain. It is the quiet in between, the stillness that stays, no matter what the sky decides. And perhaps that's all enlightenment ever is. Not changing the world, but changing how you meet it. There's a moment, quiet, almost invisible, when the heart finally exhales. It happens not when the storm ends, but when you stop begging the sky to change. That's when peace arrives, not as a reward, but as recognition. We spend our lives thinking peace is something we must earn through discipline, success, control. But what if it was never something to win at all? What if it's been waiting in the background, softly whispering, "When you're ready to stop fighting, I'm still here." When May stopped pleading for rain, she didn't give up. She woke up. Her silence wasn't defeat. It was devotion of a higher kind. It was the moment she trusted life more than she trusted her fear. And maybe that's the turning point for all of us, because behind every sleepless night, behind every restless thought, there's that same hidden truth. We are afraid of losing control because we've mistaken control for safety. But safety doesn't come from controlling the storm. It comes from knowing you'll still be yourself in the rain. Think of how many hours, how many years we spend worrying about things that never happen. How many possibilities we kill before they can bloom, just because we can't bear not knowing how they'll end. And then think of the rare, quiet moments when you let go, when you breathe, and everything somehow feels lighter. That feeling? That's what freedom tastes like. Not everything that weighs you down is meant to be carried. Some burdens exist only until you decide to set them down. And when you finally do, the world doesn't collapse. It expands, because worry contracts you, makes you small, rigid, afraid. But surrender opens you, wide, soft, alive. It lets you meet life as it is, without needing to fix it first. In a way, we all have our droughts. Times when the sky won't listen, when prayers echo back as silence. But maybe silence isn't the absence of an answer. Maybe it is the answer. The rain will come when it's meant to. The healing, the clarity, the release, they all come in their own time. And until they do, we are asked only one thing: to stay open. Because the real miracle is not when life finally changes. It's when you do. So when the world feels too heavy, when your thoughts won't stop spinning, remember Maze Hill. Remember that peace isn't hiding in the clouds. It's right there in the breath between your worries. Let go, even just for a moment. Let life be what it is. And in that pause you might hear it, that faint sound beneath all the noise. The quiet rhythm of being alive, unburdened, unafraid. That's the music of trust. And once you hear it, you'll never want to live without it again. There's a kind of peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. A peace that exists even when the sky stays dry, when the heart is uncertain, when the road ahead disappears into mist. That peace is not something we chase. It's something we uncover when we stop running. The Dalai Lama's wisdom isn't a command to be passive. It's an invitation to be present, to act when you can, and to rest when you cannot. To trust the flow of things, not because life is predictable, but because you are capable of meeting whatever it brings. When you stop fighting what cannot be changed, your energy returns to what can. When you stop worrying about the future, your attention returns to now, the only place where peace ever lives. So tonight, when the mind starts its familiar spin, pause. Ask yourself, can I solve this? If yes, act with calm focus. If no, release it gently. And in that simple practice, you reclaim your life. Because peace is not a prize at the end of struggle. It's the quiet companion walking beside you, waiting for you to notice. Let today be the moment you do. Breathe. Forgive yourself for the worry. And listen, really listen to the stillness that remains when fear falls silent. That stillness is not emptiness. It's truth. It's home. Worry ends where trust begins.